Hello and a very warm welcome back to Fox's Weight Watcher Kitchen. I'm Johnny Fox. Now today's recipe, guys, thought I'd share you something with I like a nibble in the evening time, sometimes at the weekend and even sometimes on the road. Little samosas, one of my little Indian snack favourites, but the way that I do mine is probably a little bit different to what a lot of other people do as well. I do 3 different coloured pastries. Now there is a reason for this as well. If I do green ones, as you can see, I've got a pot full of spinach here to make my green liquid. I use that one to identify it as a vegetarian one. If I'm doing my standard one, which is my potato and pea, I just leave the pastry a standard colour. And if I want something a hot and spicy one, then as you can see in this pan, I've got some beetroot. So how do we colour up the pastry first? Let's start by showing you this. We've got spinach in a pan. All I've taken is baby spinach inside a pan. All I'm going to use is 1 pint of water. Tip that one into there and then get the lid on, and all we do is throw that onto the gas out of the way and get that one up to cook. Which one are we on? That one over there, and that one's up to cook already. Exactly the same again. We've got the beetroot juice here. Let's measure up another pint of fluid. There's my pint again. So in the beetroot one, exactly the same. For the hot and spicy dough mix that we're going to use, 1 pintful of fluid in that. Put the lid on. This is how easy this is to start, guys. And I always say, I always do things methodically, exactly the same way as if I was going to do it when I'm cooking it for myself. Both the gases are on. These will cook down for roughly 15 to 20 minutes, basically to colour them up. And once they're cooked, I'm going to let them cool down slightly, and I'm going to show you how to blend them up and turn it into the liquid colour that you need to make the pastry. So back in 20 minutes. Okay, so stage 1 is done. It's been on the pan for 20 minutes. I've let it cool for about 15-20 minutes again as well, just to cool it down. I've transferred into a blender so we can pulse this up and turn it into a nice green liquid. So here we go. And now that's all nice and blended, we move the blender out of the way. And the other thing we're going to need, if you've got one of these handy at home, you know, your coffee percolator plunger, purely because we're going to use the strainer to take away the last of the spinach. As you can see, it's lovely and green at the moment, nice green liquid. And all we do is pour this through the coffee plunger. You can still see it's still a little bit warm. Normally I would leave this to cool down a little bit further. And then all we're going to do is to plunge the spinach back down into the bottom. So all we end up with is lovely green liquid. And that's nicely plunged down there. Let's just get our jug. As you can see, beautiful green liquid. All of the spinach bulk will stay at the bottom. And this is what we're going to use for the skins of our vegetable samosas. Lovely green liquid, and as you can see, not too much spinach left in the bottom of there as well, but nicely strained through. And all we're going to do now is exactly the same with the beetroot to make our red juice. Put it through the blender, put it through the coffee plunger and put it into another jug ready. So once we've got that ready, we'll come straight back and run you through the ingredients of all 3 types of samosas, and then we can start the cooking process. So back in a while. Okay, so the juices are all done, as you can see, prepared to the next level as well. Here's the beetroot juice, here is the spinach juice. I remember about 2 years ago, and I did this the first time just for one of my friends to show him how I made my samosas. He said, why don't you just use food colouring in your juices instead of that? I said, well, it's nice, you can add whatever colours you like. If you want to go blue, yellow or whatever colours you like, you can do that. I explained to him the reason I do the way I do it. With spinach juice, you're getting all the nutrients from the spinach when you're mixing it into the flour as well. Same as with the beetroot, you're getting the nutrients from those as well. And this is why I do it this way for different colours. So let's move those out of the way to one side until we get to do the dough. So let's run you through quickly the ingredients that we're going to go through on this as well. For the main one, which is what I call the turkey mince one, which is the standard no colour skins, we're using a couple of onions, couple of potatoes. It's a tin of peas. You know when you get these in Tesco's, the little tins one, about 290 grams of peas. We're using a couple of these little bullet chillies as well, really nice. From Tesco's, I get my breast turkey mince. This is the one I get. It's only 2% fat, and this will all go in together. I might use a little bit in one of the other side dishes as well. And at the end, we will be using some of the coriander as well. Because I'm doing 3 different versions today. I'm going to be doing the vegetarian one, the turkey mince samosas, and I'll also be doing the hot and spicy one. That will be going in at the end. So the other ingredient you're going to need, remember in other previous videos, I always blend up a whole batch of garlic and ginger paste because like I say, I do quite a lot of Indian cuisines, Indian foods. I'm always blending up the garlic and ginger paste. So for this recipe, you're going to need 80 grams of blended garlic and ginger paste as well. We'll keep that to one side for now. Now the other ingredients, the vegetarian one, what are we going to go in there? Same ingredients to start with. So we've got the onion, the chilies, and the spices. I forgot to run you through the spices. You can see on the tray here, we've got Garam Masala. That's a good heap teaspoonful of Garam Masala. I'm using Kashmir Chilli pepper, but only half of a teaspoonful. Cumin powder, I'm using 1/3 of a teaspoonful, and the turmeric powder, just a level spoonful of turmeric, and that will be the blend. Because we're going to be doing 3 lots together, I'm going to incorporate this 3 times. So I have got a little pot of spices here. I've got the oil ready there as well. The oil that we're going to be using, bearing in mind this is a weight loss version of samosas, it's not going to be dunked in the oil at the end as well. So for one recipe, I'm using 24 grams of rapseed oil. The one that I get is the extra virgin one. I got this from the supermarket. I can't remember which one it was, Tesco's or Asda, one of those. I use the extra virgin one because when you calculate it up, 24 grams is 5 points if you're with Weight Watchers. If you're not with Weight Watchers, just throw the oil in and cook away. But because I'm using 3 lots today, 3 different versions of the samosas, I've got 3 times the quantity of oil in there as well. So the other ones, hot and spicy, I'm going to be using some green lentils. As you can see, I've got an extra good heap teaspoonful of Kashmir chili powder on the top as well. I'll also be using the pressure cooker for that one. I'm going to pressure cook those down for about 12 minutes. There will also be some of these ingredients put in there as well. I'll put the coriander at the end as per usual. There will be a little bit of turkey mince in it, and I'm going to use some of these capsicum peppers at the same time. And the vegetarian one, so you know what's going in there, bearing in mind, if you are a vegetarian, you can put in whatever vegetables you like. There will be a little bit of potato, the standard spice mix as well. I'm going to use some cabbage, carrot, and again, some of the capsicum peppers. My personal taste if I want to have the vegetarian ones. And also, I think underneath there, yeah, a little bit of broccoli there as well. That'll probably break right down, but I'll be putting that into the vegetarian ones as well. So let's get all this lot chopped up. Be back in a second, and we start getting things frying up and show you how it all comes together. So back in a while. Okay, so we're all prepared now, everything's all chopped and ready to go. Remembering we're doing 3 types of samosas today, so we're going to get the base for all 3 done first. So let's get the oil on and get some onions into the oil. As you can see, quite a nice big pot full of onions this time. All 6 of these onions will be done together, and then what we're going to do in a short while, once these are fried down, we're going to divide all this lot down into 3 equal portions so that we can carry on. So let's get the gas up. And the other thing as well, guys, when you're doing these, it's only because I'm making a batch of these. Normally you would, like to say, you'd use 2 onions to start with, just a couple of those little bullet chilies. Then you would use all the spices and bits and pieces. But because we're doing 3 batches, rather than me cook it 3 times and have you guys watching me cook 3 different sets, I thought I'd do it all in one go. In a minute you'll see there'll be 3 pans on the go at the same time. Never done it this way. It's a bit of an experiment for me as well, but I'm always up to a bit of a challenge as well. So the other thing you're going to need in there, I know a lot of people say don't use this, don't use a table salt. For me, it reduces the onions down nicely. That's about a good tablespoonful of salt because there's 3 lots in there together. So all we're going to do is keep reducing these down until they go slightly translucent to start with. Just your straightforward onion mix. I wonder if they will turn over just yet. There you go. It's a bit better, but let's not waste any. And just keep turning these around more and more. As you can see, the flame's up nice and high. A good sized flame to get these down. In fact, we could go on to the even bigger one. I don't know if we can video over that side. Let's get it onto the bigger one and see if we can get this one cooking over this side as well. Let's keep that off of there because that tends to speed things up a little bit. All we want to do is really get these onions to reduce down, and then we start adding the other ingredients like the garlic and ginger paste, the chilies. Once these are in there, it's going to be really, really nice. So let's give these a couple of minutes. We'll be straight back again. Okay, so they've had a couple of minutes already. We're just checking these. They're starting to get a little bit translucent, which is perfect for what we need. We're going to add in the chilies now. As you can see, normally this would be just 2 of the bullet chilies. And also, whilst we're there, I've just weighed this on the gram scales as well because we wanted 80 grams for one recipe. So I've just put 240 grams worth of garlic and ginger paste because we're doing a triple batch today. And like I say before, guys, you know when I talk about in the past, I do a lot of batch cooking. If I'm doing samosas, you can see how much is in this pan. This is the sort of quantity that I would be making for myself. And then what I do, once the samosas are all nicely cooked, freeze them all down, and then just as you want samosas, put them into the microwave, have a quick warm up with them, and it's really nice. So we're going to leave that to reduce down and cook up for a little bit longer, around about another 2 to 3 minutes, and we'll be right back again. Okay, so they've had about 3 or 4 minutes so far. As you can see, the pan's just starting to get a bit of brown. Just keep moving them around. This is where we're going to start adding in. Remember the spices we had earlier on, the 4 spices? Going to throw those in now. Get that one out of the way. And because we're doing, like I say, a whole batch, there's the other 2 lots that we're going to put in there at the same time. And then we're just going to give this a little bit of a wiggle to get together. This is where sometimes, guys, I really wish this was smell-o-vision, because as soon as you start adding all these spices to it, the smell of this transforms amazing. It's nice enough with just the garlic and ginger, but as soon as you start adding these other spices in there, the flavours come through almost immediately. All we're going to do is cook this down for about a minute. We're just with raw spices in there, just all the powders infused together. And then what we'll do, you can see we've got the jug of water ready there. We're just going to start adding little bits of water to it just to stop the spices from burning. But all we're going to do is keep this on the move for a moment so it doesn't catch the pan too much, because what we don't want to do at this time, guys, is burn the bottom of the pan. Let's move him to one side because I prefer to give it a flick over. I find it transfers, and now you can see it's starting to come over more like when you're tossing over a pancake. You know that's a bit more like it then, and then the spices are just starting to catch the bottom of the pan, and you can see it starts moving around into a great big lump. Once it starts doing that, that's a good indication that all the spices have been cooked. They've all gone in together. So now we can just start adding little bits of water, bit by bit, until we get this. This is when the flavours really start coming through now, as soon as you start adding this fluid in. But all of these flavours are absolutely wonderful. If you're a curry lover, which I've mentioned this on so many videos in the past, if you are a curry lover, these for little nibbles are so nice. And we're doing a healthier version. Normally at the end, these will be deep fat fried. Going to show you a little trick after we've got all this lot ready and we're going into doing the wraps and showing you how to make the samosa wraps. I'm going to show you a trick on how to cook them towards the end as well. So let's add a bit more water to this. Almost going to get this to the point where it's almost covered now, but just reducing it down a little bit. So you can still see the spices are still coming through nicely, and it's still at this point still just a little bit on the thick side as well. So as you can see, we've just got enough water in there to cover over the top of this. Just give this a little wiggle. And now we just leave that to simmer down for about 4 to 5 minutes, and then we'll come straight back and we start dividing the whole lot up. So back in a while. Okay, so it's been simmering down nicely now for another couple of minutes. This is now where I'm going to divide things up, because like I say, 3 different types of recipes today. So let's get the gas right down for this one. Move him out of the way, and then we'll just take another pan. I know what you're thinking. Cool, that looks so similar to the other one. It's probably because it is. Same company, same brand. And all we're going to add on this one is probably a couple of spoonfuls in that one. Move him to one side, out with the other pan. This is, like I say, now we're going to start multi-cooking at this point and get a few of these going together. 2 into that one, and it should, if I've done this correctly, this should be roughly, maybe not quite as much in that one, because that one's going to be more hot and spicy. So now we'll start getting all of these back onto the cooker. Heat can come up, heat can go on, and in the back one we'll start getting all of these back on the go again. So keep the spoon to one side, and now we've got all of these together. What I wanted to do, guys, as well, in the vegetarian one and in the hot and spicy, I'm going to add some more capsicum pepper. Normally I would have cooked this with the vegetables as well, but I like these semi-cooked, so I'm just going to add a sprinkle into this one of the red, sprinkle of that one in the red, sprinkle of the orange in that one, sprinkle of the orange in that one, and then a bit of the yellow one from the bottom, and a bit of the orange one and yellow one into the back of there as well. And now they're all starting to cook nicely. This is where we can, if need be, add some more water just to keep them going. This pan, because it's slightly lighter, this is the one I will automatically, because like I say, you don't want to be burning spices at this point, so I'm just going to cover this one with a touch more water just to help that cook down a while. Because the one that takes slightly longer than all the others, because all the vegetables and the other ones, they're down on the other stove, they're almost cooked now. All of the lentils for the hot and spicy one for this one, and all the vegetables down there, and they'll be pre-cooked. Whereas this one that we're cooking here, this one's going to be the raw meat. So out of the full pack of turkey breast, in fact I did say I was going to cheat and add a little piece in that one, not too much though, just enough for a bit of flavour. Put the whole pack in, remove the paper. Now you can, if you want to, you can break it down piece by piece like this, which will probably take a long time. I've always, as anyone that knows me, when I'm doing cooking, I always find the shortcut. If you've got a good potato masher, the one with the blades that runs all the way through, all I do is mash mine down into the sauce, and you'll find it cooks it, it separates it very quickly, and it helps the whole process come along rather rapid. So this is looking really good already, and I think whilst that one's there, I'll do exactly the same in this one to break this one down. And this one's going to catch a little bit, so I thought it might. We just move him away and have a little play with this one, because he's not cooking in there as well. So let's start the mashing again. As you can see, 3 lots on the go together, nice and hot and spicy, the one I'm working with now. This one's going to be your lentil one. Remember I put the lentils in there with a few of the capsicum peppers. This one is really nice if you like one that's hot and spicy. But again, me, I wouldn't say I'm a huge meat lover, but I do like a little bit more texture, which you can only seem to get from meat. And in this one, and because at this point all the flavours are exactly the same, all we're trying to do is to break this down. And while we're there, because this is the hot and spicy, remember earlier on I said we're going to add some more hot and spicy mix, cayenne pepper, an extra good heap teaspoonful of cayenne pepper, and that will guarantee to get you nice and hot and spicy. As you can see, all of these cooking together now. This, I know I've said this before, but I really wish this was smell-o-vision, because the flavours that are coming off of this, the infusement of all these lovely spices, is absolutely wonderful. I don't know about you guys, but I'm looking forward to having some samosas later on. That is, as you can see, all nicely separated up now. That can just cook in its own time. And give that one a bit of a clean off that side there. Now we can just have a play with some of these other bits. That one looks good. Let's give him a shake around. He's moving around nicely. Let's test with this one. Hot and spicy, good. He's nice and loose in the bottom as well. Just want to flick this one around in the pan a bit more. Get this cayenne pepper to mix in a bit better. That's a little bit better. And then the one over the back for the vegetables, as you can see, starting to get a little bit dry. Guys, when you're doing this, always have some water to hand, just to make sure that you're covering it enough so you don't burn. That should keep that nice and moist again. And like I say, with the capsicum pepper, it just makes that little bit extra richer flavour towards the end, because they've been cooked in the sauce rather than pre-cooked. So this lot is all starting to come together, an absolute treat. So I think at this point I'm going to quickly grab my pot of potatoes, which they're strained. Okay, so the potatoes are strained. I'm going to quickly go and grab those and I'll be straight back. So there's the potatoes. Let's have some of those in there. Spoonful for you, spoonful for you, and a spoonful for you. And I think because we're doing this one as the main one for mine, 3 spoonfuls in there, and then just divide the rest up into the other 2. And that is all of those mixed up. Back in a sec. Right, they're all coming together a treat. Let's just mix this lot together nice and quick. That's all done in that one. That one feels like it's catching the pan slightly. Not going to move around as much. But this one being a nice hot and spicy one, it's going to be really delicious. I think while we're there, the other ones are ready, are they? So the other bits and pieces are ready. Quickly going to grab the other 2 pots and throw these together. Got the vegetables. As you can see, a lovely big selection of vegetables there. And finish up lastly with all of the lentils and the capsicum peppers that we cooked earlier on. Right, now we're cooking. Bit of a pun in that, isn't there? I love it. Just, oh guys, I really wish you could smell this. This is absolutely delightful. The fragrances on this, all of these lovely flavours all coming together. Even the vegetable ones. I know not everyone's a meat lover, but all we got to do is just keep this mix on the go. We'll add the peas in now as well. Handful of peas in this one. You can see as it all gets closer to the end, just start throwing all these ingredients together, and you can see already I chopped up the cilantro earlier on, or coriander, sorry. Chopped that up, and we're going to put these in. Let's have a touch more in that one. Don't like too much in the hot and spicy, but I do like it in with the turkey one. Now that's all of the ingredients together, we can just now mix the whole lot together. The smell, this is so nice. Alright, will this one move around? Yes, it will. That's that one moving around nicely. And this one, let's give that a mix first before my coriander comes flying out the top. This is the one I like. Turkey mince samosas. And give it a flick over, just to give it a mix. Same as the veggie one. Because the veggie one, again, if you're not a meat lover, this again is really nice. It's going to be a bit awkward to do this. I'm going to move those around from one gas to another, so I can just grab that one and give that a shake around. That's better. I know not everyone does the flicking of the pan. You can just grab a big spoon and just give it a good turn over. If you're not a dab hand like I am, just moving things around. And all we're doing at this point is trying to dry some of this liquid down a bit, because what we don't want is soggy samosas. Another one done there. That is looking for a veggie samosa. Look at the colours in that one. Let's move those around again. It's what you call playing around on a cooker. That is looking absolutely delightful, but it's not, because this one's not a wok. It doesn't want to flick over the same as the others, but we do get there. we adapt and we manipulate and we continue. But these are drying up nicely, and like I say guys, all we're going to do at this point is to just dry them out. You can see from the bottom, not too much moisture no matter which way you move it. Same as the other one. If we move this one, you can see there's hardly any moisture down in the bottom. This is what we're after. We're just gradually drying the mixtures, because this is almost the veggie one. You see just that little bit more moisture down in there. Let's get that one another little shake over. And all this does, it just mixes all the flavours together. Going to move him back round there, just so I can grab hold of this one and give it one more go. That one is looking absolutely beautiful. And the last one to play with is this one. That is, oh guys, this smell of this is absolutely lovely. And now they're all done, you can see nice and dry in the bottom there. Nice and dry in the bottom there. The mixes are pretty much there. Nice and dry, nice and dry, nice and dry. At this point guys, this is your mixes done. So if you wanted the meat version, you now know how to do that. If you want your vegetarian one, you now know how to do that. If you want your hot and spicy, again, you don't have to use lentils. It's just a personal preference that I'm doing on this particular recipe. Sometimes I do hot and spicy on the turkey as well. But if these are the ingredients that you like, follow these ones one after the other. You've got the original ingredients. I will put all the list of it underneath as well. So that is all the sauces and stuffings ready for the samosas. We're going to cut and edit at this point, have a bit of a clean up, get these into some bowls to cool down slightly, and then I'll show you how to make the samosa wrap. So back in a while. So as you can see, we've had a bit of a clean up already. We've got the food cooked behind us. We're up to the point where we're going to start making samosa wraps. You can see already I've done the green one and the white one, but I wanted to show you guys how I'm doing this flour mix, or the dough mix. I'm using bread flour from Allison's, and because I'm doing a nice batch of them, I want to get about 400 grams of flour into the pot first. Give this a good shake all the way through. We're almost there for 400. That'll take care of that. Now, if you've never done dough mixes before, ratio on how to make the water to the flour mix. If you're using 100 grams of flour, use 60 grams of liquid. So I've got 400 grams of liquid in there. I'm also now going to add the beetroot juice for this one, but I want 240 grams because it's 4 times your 60 to give me up to my 240. That is just about there. Move that to one side. I always add as well, I know you shouldn't do it, a little splash of salt in mine because I like a little bit of flavour. And with any dough mix, I always add just a little bit, because I've got the scales out, I can measure this exactly. 5 grams worth of oil in there at the same time. Once all those are in, just to speed things up, I'm going to put mine into my mixer. Let's get the scales out of the way. Just to speed the process up slightly. Dough hooks on, so we'll spin this up and we'll be back in a minute and I'll turn it out and show you what to do next. Okay, so that's everything all blended up in the dough mixer. As you can see, a nice big lump of dough. Move him away from the hook. We'll just move some of these out of the way for now because we don't need them. And we'll just turn that out onto the side. And as you can see, we've got a nice ball of dough already. But even though it's been into the mixer, I always find I like to just get my hands on this and give this a good knead. I can feel it's rubberized, but it's not rubberized enough. So I say, for the sake of a few more minutes of just getting your hands involved, you can feel any of those particles at the bottom that weren't completely mixed up. And again, guys, if you haven't got a stand mixer, not the end of the earth. You can put it all into a big thing, stir it with your finger, mix it all up and just keep kneading and kneading. I just did this for speed for the video as well. And sometimes if I'm making a batch, I will do the mixer on these as well, but it just helps to speed things up. See, normally when you're doing these, you normally get like Indian, I've seen this in the Indian families that I've spent lots of time with as well. They'll get like a production line going together. One will be making the sauce, one will be making the wraps up, one will be doing the stuffing, the other one will be doing the folding. And it's like a little production line. Because we're doing it all ourselves, we've got to do this stage by stage. So the kneading of the dough This is something that someone down my, not so much a production like an assembly line, but like a production line at home, someone will be making all the doughs ready, and then all we do is just keep kneading this and kneading this for about 3 or 4 minutes. It still feels, to me, you get used to dough when you're doing things. It doesn't feel rubbery enough. I think it's something to do is, although the mixer mixes it up well, I think it's something to do with the heat of the hands, activates the gluten, and it makes it feel a lot more rubbery. But you can see though, just from this, that is pretty much there. We have now got our 3 dough balls, so we can identify straight away which mix is going to be which. The green one we're going to use for the vegetarian, the red one we're going to have hot and spicy, and the white one is going to be my turkey mince samosas. So let's move some of these out of the way first, because I'm going to show you how I put these together. Let's take off a little ball first, usually around about 100 grams. I don't even need to weigh these. And then we will have a little bit of flour on the side. You can see I'm still playing with this with my fingers a little bit, because I really want this to be the right texture. And then just dunk in the flour either side, get on the side, and then we start with the rolling pin and just start rolling this out. Now, when you normally get these, you know, when you buy these from supermarkets, they've got quite a lot of these on the shelves, and the pastry that a lot of them use is Filo pastry. So now, if you don't want to make your own dough like this, you can just go to the supermarket, buy your Filo pastry, and you can wrap them up in those. There are, I know I've seen this on YouTube quite a few times as well, when you're getting your samosa wraps, and they're the Filo pastry type ones. It's usually great big square sheets. So if you wanted to do that with the Filo pastry, go ahead and get yourself some Filo pastry and you can ramp them up, or you can do it this way. I personally prefer this way because I'm not a lover of Filo pastry. Just going to roll these out a little bit more. You can see it still spins. All we're doing is making a nice big circle, and we're trying to get this roughly as flat as we can get it. Almost to the point where I call it elasticizing. It's sort of very rubbery, it wants to pull back on itself, and then I know I've got exactly the right thickness. See, it's just starting to catch underside there. You can see not quite enough powder on the top. Give that another little dusting, and then we can roll out just a touch more. This here, out of all of this part when we're doing this, is just to keep spinning them around and get this as large as we can. And then people always say afterwards, how do you get your perfect shapes? Once this is rolled out, I'll show you, it's a nice little trick. That is almost there. Needs just a little bit either side, and it feels like it's still free from the bottom. Now we've got a nice, almost perfect circle, apart from this shape here. How do we overcome that? Quite easy. With the wok, or the saucepan top that I use, I get a saucepan lid, place over to the top, press down and give it a little wiggle, and as you can see, it cuts the dough. We don't waste this, we keep it to one side. Put the lid back over the back, and now we've got this, we've got basically at this point 4 samosa wraps, but we need to cut them. And I find, rather than using a knife because the dough is still too soft, I use a pizza roller. Just roll it through the middle, roll it through the other side, and there is 4 pieces. The other thing you need to do, we need to semi-set this, because as you see from here, this at the moment is very, very soft. So how do we solidify it? You can see I've had the gas on lightly. I've got a dry pan, and I'm just going to put that into the bottom just for a few moments because it's nice and warm underneath. Give it a wiggle round, drop back out onto your hand and drop into the other side. See, it's slightly coloured one side. All this does, it semi-sets the dough. We'll do the same for another one. We'll get all 4 of these done exactly the same. After I've done this one and I've stuffed a couple of these, I'm going to show you another technique of a different way of doing these wraps. There are multiple ways, but these traditionally are the 2 ways that I prefer to do mine. There's another one just about there. I know what you're thinking as I'm doing these. Looks like slices of ham. It's not. It just looks at when I do these, every time I do this, because I lay them all out, and once you get a whole batch and it feels like it's just a slice of ham. You just want to pick it up and eat it, but it's not. Trust me, it's not ham. It's just dough. And all we're doing, the reason we help to set these as well, because when you try and fold these up, you can see how loose and floppy this is. We don't want it to be too floppy, too loose, because we just can't basically do anything with it. Move that to one side with the rest of the dough, and that is my 4th one done. And then I'll show you very quickly how to put this together and do some stuffing. There's the 4th one done, and we'll keep that on the flame because I'm going to be continuing to do these in a while. So let's keep these, let's get to the first one because that one's a bit cooler. So you know how to do your wrapping of these. This is very, very simple. So if we get the camera, we can zoom in on this one up here. From the right side, get the semicircle facing towards you, point away. We're just going to fold sort of in half. See, we've got almost a straight line horizontal to the bottom, and with this bottom piece we're going to give it just a light press but not crease this side. So from the right hand side, fold over and just lightly press on that side. Now I always keep some flour mixed with water. Reason I do this, because we want to seal this side. We don't need too much, just enough to help stick the other side, because what we're going to do now is take the left side and roll over, push right into the point, press with the finger, and then very lightly stick this side to the other side. So you end up with almost a kite shape. And I find if you don't use the flour and water mix, it doesn't stick too well. And then once you've got it open, it's like a cone. Just give a nice little pinch with the fingers. It's as simple as that. So stuffing, hot and spicy. Let's get into the hot and spicy mix, and we've got a spoon somewhere. There's my spoon. So a little bit of hot and spicy mix, and all we do is dunk into the bottom. And once we've got enough in there, I will say it's about a spoon and a half, almost 2 spoons. You don't really want to overfill these because they don't seal. Move that to one side. Press down with the fingers so you can make sure it's fully incorporated to the inside. Rest onto the side and then very lightly press down. See this little piece here? We're just folding this over now lightly and forming almost a triangular shape. And then another piece of dough, the wet mix, just to seal down the other side. And all I do on mine, I press these corners and roll over, keeping it nice and tight as you're going, and then give a very gentle press with your hand just so you can feel the dough squash. And then we turn over, you can see not quite sealed on the corners, and because we've got the dough mix in there, pinch the corners, and same on the other side. So there's the first one done. Let's go again. Very quickly show you this one. So from the right hand side, fold the corner, a little bit of the wet mixture down on there. It's a bit like a bit of paste. You put it together and paste it together, lightly overlap, press down in the middle, lift up and pinch together so it seals it. And as you can see, you've got your nice little cone again. Back into the mix, and this one, probably one good spoonful on this one. Move that to one side again, push down with the finger, and you probably notice I keep going over that side. I've got a little cloth here. If I keep it this side, you can see I'm keeping my fingers clean so I'm not wetting the dough too much. Give it a light flatten down, tuck the top over, seal the edges again so it sticks. Take the waste off the fingers and then roll, tucking these corners in as we go, and you just very lightly roll over. And there is another one done. Again, slightly too wide. You can push into the corner and squash. And we'll carry on and get these 4 done. Back in a sec. So there's my 4 samosas all done from the first batch. I'm going to grab myself a pizza tray. Going to rest these onto the pizza tray, and this is how I do mine. Now, see, normally guys, if you're cooking samosas in a standard traditional way, up until this point everything's fine, but what they would normally do is have a big pan full of oil, cooking oil, vegetable oil, whatever you like, and then they would just take it, put it into the oil. But because we're not doing an unhealthy version of samosas, we're putting these on a pizza tray, because what we'll do once these are filled up, and I've got a few more done as well, we're going to put those into the oven. I put it on gas, usually 6 or 7. If you want an electric oven like my one is a conventional one, I'll put it on about 190, 200-ish for about 15 minutes. But before I do that, you know the fry light spray? I give a little light spray over the top just to coat the tops, because again, there's no calories. If you're up to 16 points, is 0 points if you're with Weight Watchers. There's hardly any calories in the stuff. Just a light spray to help seal them down and crisp them up nicely as well. So I'm going to carry on doing these ones for a moment, and then we'll be right back. Okay, before I carry on doing the last of these ones on the hot and spicy ones, you know I said I was going to show you 2 different ways of doing the samosa wraps. We've got the original shape of all of these ones already done. There is another way you can do this. It's personal preference. It's entirely up to you guys. I thought I'd just show you 2 ways. I've got myself a little ball of dough again. Weight-wise, so you get the right ratio. It's with the other ones, I'm doing roughly 100-gram dough ball, and I'm making 4. So we know we need about half of this one. Going to dunk it in the flour either side to start with, just so I can stretch this one out again. And I will cheat and stretch out with the fingers first. Make sure there's a bit of dough, a bit of flour on the side, and then we're just going to roll this one out the same, making sure that there's plenty of flour on there so we can roll it, because this one is, everyone's got their own personal preference on how they do it. Like I say, if you go to the supermarkets and you get your Filo pastry, there's techniques of doing that one because it's square dough. If you're doing it this way, all we're doing is just rolling this out. We're making, as you can see, virtually a circle again, and it's the same technique as what I did before. You know, I showed you how we get it down almost, it's not quite Filo pastry, because when they do Filo pastry, I don't know if you've ever seen a video on it, it's quite an interesting thing to watch as well. They get dough balls like this, they flatten them out reasonably flat until it's almost to the point of where they can't do any more, and then they'll get a stack of them. After they've done one, they'll cover it in olive oil, and then they'll put another one over the top of it, cover that in olive oil, till they get a stack of about 6 or 8 of them. And once they've got their 6 or 8 all together, then what they'll do, they get the rolling pin and roll them out again, and then they bake them on the hot plate slightly. Just, you know how we solidified earlier on, I'll show you this one when we're doing this one, but when they solidify it slightly afterwards on their hot plate, then that, once they separate them up and it's cooled down, it turns into Filo sheets. This is starting to feel absolutely perfect for the actual depth of it, not catching the side because there's just enough flour. What we don't want to do, guys, as well, is over flour these, and then make that one slightly longer on there. And now this one, you can see I've gone slightly more eggy shaped, a bit more of an oblong. I'm going to cut this one right through the middle. And again, same thing, into the pan. All I want to do is to semi-set this. You can put the whole thing in if you want to. That one is almost done that side. It's very quick. When you're doing this and you've got, like I say, this little production line of putting these together, it's really quite fast. I think it's always the same because we're in video mode. Things never go exactly the way that you would do them at home. And then that one is almost done again. You can see how this, if it looks like it scorches the bottom, it's not. It's just, all it's doing is semi-cooking the dough. That one's done as well. And now here's the other little trick. That was the second one. So with this one, it's a little bit different. All we're going to do is take one side, keep the flat side at the top, and we're going to basically put some of this flour mixture on one side. You can still see I keep my rag there. And then folding wise, if we fold as if we're going to fold it in half, but not, we miss, and then fold back on itself. I'll show you this one again. The left side comes in and then the right side comes over. And then we're just going to seal this all the way down to the point. And then again, right down to the bottom. And you can see we just, from the inside, we're pinching all the way through just to get this to seal. You can rest on the side and give it a press down if you want to. And again, we've got a nice little cone. So once we've got the cone, let's get some more hot and spicy mix in there. A couple of quick spoonfuls of this. Give this a press down again. And unlike the last one where we rest on the side and we pull and flip over, if we squash this one down lightly, you can see these edges almost touching itself. So we get the wet mix, just run our finger right round the top to give this a bit of stick. All the way around the top to seal it. Keep the fingers clean and then very lightly press down. And you can even pinch it with the fingers. You can see the juice coming out the top. Then we know that it's nicely sealed. So again, it's a personal preference. This way for me, I find, yes, it's a nice little technique. It's a beautiful little shape samosa as well. Bit too much juice on the top for me. And then because to me, there's too much dough now on the top. Here's another little trick. Once you've pinched all this in, we know it's all sealed up. It's quite a nice little technique. But because there's too much dough, I just get my little pizza cutter and I roll it around the edges. Just to take that last little piece, because I don't really want that piece. I'll put that into the mix again in a minute and then just make sure this is sealed down. And there is your second samosa shape. So you've got two different types of samosas. I'll do this one more time just to show you. From the straight side on the top right hand side, take your finger, run the flour mixture into there. Take the left hand side, fold it as if we're going to fold inside and then seal the other side to the top. Pinch and work it all the way down, making sure that we've got this bottom piece nicely tucked in. You can see all the way down and then pinch the bottom. And all we're doing is finger and thumb just basically pressing all of the dough together. Now you can see, nice little cone again. Let's get some more mix. Nice big one in there straight away. Fill that one up inside and then we can level this one back down again. And this is another reason why I use the pizza cutter afterwards, because I don't like too much dough. But we can use this mix. You can, if you've got a pastry brush, you can use a pastry brush. I personally like to just get my fingers in there, get myself involved in what I'm doing. Give the fingers a wipe and then just pinch with the fingers all the way through to seal the samosa together. And then once we've got that last little piece together, like I say, because there's too much dough for me, you can leave it on if you like the pastry. I'm not a lover of too much of the dough, so that last little piece I just move to one side and there is another samosa done. I'm going to carry on doing all the rest of these. Once they're done, I'm going to show you how we cook them, and once they're all nicely cooked, we'll be straight back. So back in a while. Okay, so my first batch of all the hot and spicy ones are done. You can see all the mix is all done, all the samosa wraps are all done. As you can see from these, I've got a few more to one side as well. I've got 26 samosas on these. What I'm going to do before I put these into the oven, I'm going to go and get some fry light, give them a quick spray over the top. Like I say, keep them in the oven for about 15 minutes on 200 if you've got an electric oven. And then once they're done, I'll come back whilst these are cooking. In fact, before we come back, I'm going to go and do the batch of all these other ones. I'm going to do all the vegetarian ones, all of the normal turkey mince ones as well. Give these a fry light spray down, and once they're all finished and been cooked into the oven, cooled down slightly, we'll come back and I'll show you the end result. So back again in a while, guys. Okay, so we're in the home straight now. As you can see, we've got a lovely plate full of samosas. Here are your turkey mince ones, you've got your hot and spicy through the middle, and you've got your vegetarian ones on the side, all easily identifiable by the colours. It's taken me about an hour and a half to go through the whole lot, wrapping them up, folding them up, baking them down into the oven at the same time. But trust me guys, absolutely worth it. When you look into some of these, let's crack into one of these vegetable ones. You can see from the inside, vegetable samosa, absolutely lovely. Taste wise, this is one of those foods guys that when you want something quick and easy, what I'll do with some of these is freeze them down, keep some for another day, have some a little bit later on. Snacks on the road, really lovely to eat. You can see all the nutrients in there, vegetarian ones. If you like your vegetables, this is the one for you. Still chewing away here because they're so nice. But points wise, if you are with Weight Watchers, I have said in the past I'll give you the points on every recipe. We've used 400 grams of flour. We've also used potato, 300 grams, that's another 6 points, and 40 for the flour. Then we add in the oil, we've got about 7 points worth of oil in total. We're looking at each of these samosas, guys. If you buy these in the shop, they're about 9 to 10 points a piece because they're dunked in oil and soaked in fat. These ones work out to just over 2 points a piece. Taste wise, they're pretty much the same as the deep fried ones, but health wise, a lot better for you. Nice, tasty food on the go. Great big plateful. I will be freezing some of these down. If you like the food guys, leave some comments, have a go yourself, leave a few comments after you've had a go yourself and let me know how you got on with them as well. If you've enjoyed the channel, if you enjoy the samosas, leave some comments and we'll catch you on the next video. Don't forget, if you want to subscribe to the channel, click on the subscribe button below. If you like what you see, click on the bell button. You'll be notified every time another video comes up. Until we catch you again, I'm going to go away and have a little snack on some samosas now, freeze the rest of them down when we catch you on the next video real soon. Take care. Bye.